Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at a B split execute on Mirage that's going to look something like this. We'll start by looking at the 4 smokes used in the execute, and then we're going to break down the execute piece by piece to see exactly what everyone needs to do. For the B split execute, there's 4 smokes you're going to need to know. The first 2 are up in B house to smoke window and connector. The window smoke is to line yourself up with this corner, then aim at the middle of this wire, sort of in line with this splotch, and up a few pixels to the top of this carpet. Now it doesn't really need to be accurate, anywhere between here and here works, so just sort of get it in and throw the smoke. It's really easy once you get the hang of it. The next is to push into this left pipe and just aim at the top of this area where this line crosses this one, just there, and throw the smoke. So the window one's going to be a perfect window smoke with, oops, if I can just show you, with no gaps on either side, like this. And the connector smoke is going to completely cover through the connector, especially on this left side. Now this is the really important part. It doesn't cover the right side. You can still see there. And it doesn't cover anyone sort of around here jumping. So what the point of this one now is the smoke for the 2 mid players that were here. So you basically need to land the smoke anywhere past this pillar, so about here. And this is an optional smoke. If you feel like there's no connector presence, you don't have to do it, but it definitely helps. And it's so easy, you just have to basically land air smoke anywhere past that pillar. And it's going to completely cover you from the connector when you're doing the short execute, and you can just go around it really easily through here. Now, the last smoke for this is the initial mid player's smoke, and right at the start of the round he's going to go into this corner, and he's just going to aim at the middle of this and up to the top of this antenna here. So it's the middle of this and up, and just throw the smoke. Now this is going to be a perfect smoke landing just here. And it's going to block off this area from any mid-AWPer. They're not going to be seeing anyone crossing, and that's crucial for the mid player. So for this B split execute, initially you're going to want to push 2 players into B apps just here. Green can hold house and purple can hold underpass. Then you're going to want orange and yellow and blue to push around towards middle, and orange and yellow aren't going to peek at all. They're going to be completely hidden, so the CTs don't know where they are. And blue is going to smoke out and cross to behind boxes. Now, this player is very crucial for this strat because he may not see that much action, but he prevents an unknowing T-spawn backstab. He prevents the CTs from going short. He prevents the players from going underpass or through whorehouse once the smokes are gone. So he basically cuts off this entire area of the map, so that the CTs can only really retake through kitchen without being without the Ts being aware of where they are. So he's going to cross to behind boxes and basically sit here for the entire round. And initially, right now, before these guys have done any smokes, he's just going to maybe throw flashes or whatever over the boxes to make the CTs aware that there is a player top mid and that they need to be. It forces the CTs to actually look at middle and be aware of this situation. And it keeps them in their positions. So he doesn't want to peek at all until we're ready to execute, in which case he can actually start watching these angles and making sure no one comes through. So that's the initial setup for the start of the round, or for when you want to execute the strat. It doesn't need to be right at the very beginning, but it's a quick strat, so it can work for a quick B split rush, in a sense. Then what happens next is we'll look at these players first. Green throws a smoke down to connector. Purple throws a smoke down to window. So these 2 areas are completely blocked off, except for a tiny gap if a CT's here and jumping, which is why orange or yellow optionally can throw a smoke just here, which is you just literally just throw it forwards and it blocks off this area. And then there's a slight gap they can come around in here, and that prevents these guys from even spotting them at all. Blue again is just sitting up here. So at this point, once these smokes have gone out, green and purple are going to walk into B apps. And they're just going to hold this angle right down here, so that if the CT's trying to spot them, they can get him. If it's an AWP, they can trade him, and then the strat moves very quickly. These guys are going to clear, close short, and then boost orange onto the box, and then they can both peek at the same time. And they can time their peek, and they can peek all the way up to the middle of the bench before it gets blocked off here. So they can do this sideways peek all the way up. Once they've peeked, that's when the next part of the strat comes in. So as soon as their peek is done, orange drops off, yellow drops off, they push up together and they clear this angle here. As they're pushing in, green and purple start running. Now, the reason for this is that if there's a CT playing in this area, he's going to hear either 2 steps or footsteps. Most likely the B house ones will be closer to him, so he's going to turn his back on short, or maybe play behind this pillar. And you're basically crossfiring on the poor CT stuck in this situation if he's there, which makes for a really easy kill on him. Then hopefully you'll kill the other player. You'll either trade him or you'll get him clean, which would be great. Then the purple guy is going to jump out the window and plant just here for short, and the green guy can go wherever he wants, maybe clear back a site and hold sort of this angle to the window. If one of these 2 guys still has a smoke, he can smoke off the door, and then you've just got this nice sort of crossfire on the window from 3 angles. Potentially green can go back into apps, but blue should still be listening for this backstab, so potentially they shouldn't even be able to get into apps without you being aware of it. And blue doesn't need to make any kills, he just needs to stop. Maybe if they could push short, he can peek out, get an easy kill, things like that. But he just needs to make you aware of what's going on, and then you've got the plant down, everything's good, and you go into after plants and win the round. Great. So I hope you enjoyed watching that StratCraft video, and I hope you learned a thing or two. Just remember, unexpected things might happen during the execute, and what makes them successful is how well you adapt to those changes. With that in mind, use this as a starting point, practice the strat, run it a few times, and just adapt it to your team's playstyle. And as always, thanks for watching.